Happy Friday, and thank you for joining us. I think I've only got a couple people in here who weren't with us on Monday, but Sean, you were here for our work-life balance 2.0. So you're aware of this project that Becky, Zhang, and I worked on over the summer in coordination with Newleaf Training and Development to put together a semester-long series of workshops for classified professionals only to provide you with some skills and help you find balance in your role here at Fresno City College and at other places in your life. So this is part 2 of 2 of time management. If you missed the first one, the session recording is up on the YouTube channel. And I'll introduce our facilitator, Erin Miller. Contentment is the word that best describes Erin. And as a versatile consultant, facilitator, keynote speaker, and coach, he is responsible for delighting Newleaf's clients with consistently outstanding work. Erin has been married to Ingrid since 2003. He relishes family time and coaches his son's soccer team. He also enjoys reading extensively, cooking, and maintaining his health. Erin lives in Saugus, California, which is down south. Take it away, Erin.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and indeed, happy Friday. So if we have a few people who were not here with us on Monday, I'm going to do my best to kind of bring you up to speed and help have a foundation for you to kind of just move along with us for what we're going to discover today. I can think of no better way to spend a Friday afternoon than to talk about time management 2.0. So I'm very much looking forward to wrapping up this second part with you. This is where it gets really applicable, and we're going to have some opportunity to participate with our input. And again, if you'll remember, the wisdom is in the room, right? There are things that we have discussed and we'll discuss today that you really do know. It's all about just unlocking those points of wisdom and then walking in them. And that really is a good segue, if you'll remember, to what we do here at Newleaf. We build all of our professional instruction upon the idea of principles versus technique. And remember, the differences between principles and techniques is that principles are universal. They're absolute. They exist whether we want to adhere to them or not, right? Kind of like the law of gravity. We obey the law of gravity whether we want to or not. It is a factor. And so there are things that we can build upon innately versus techniques that might be helpful in the short run, but really they're temporal and in some ways even debatable. These are things that we can really agree upon. So the big perception and behavior and result wheel that you remember, it's like the see, do, and get wheel of understanding and living. What's holding all that together are the principles of time management. And the one principle that we're building upon that really becomes that domino piece that set us on course is that we actually can't control or manage or manipulate time. I mean, we really wish we could, but we can't. What we can control, right? What we can steer and engineer really has to do with a set of perceptions, a set of behaviors that in the end, in the final analysis, bring about a particular set of results. And so we talked about time management really comes down to 2 things that we can control: people and process. Now, we understand that we can't control anything outside of ourselves. We can only best manage ourselves. So when it comes to relating to other people, when it comes to understanding how processes could be efficient and save time and help us organize ourselves, that's where we set our focus. And so when it comes to people and building relationship in the workplace, the focus or the big crescendo of that was we got to build trust, building trust with people and utilizing processes that will allow us to kind of save time and also organize our work day or work week. That really becomes the crown jewel that brings about the set of results of time management. And so we did a few exercises related to time management in the area of people versus process. What are those relationships that tend to need special focus, or they need a different set of perhaps approaches in order to bring about a set of results, or maybe a process that we find ourselves in that really isn't at all helpful. We might find that we're just caught in the hamster wheel or the cul-de-sac of insanity, hoping for better results. And so we did a few exercises evaluating ourselves, evaluating our work week, our actual work day, and hopefully bringing about some applicable material for us to begin to work with. Now, you remember we also took a stab at planning out our week and looked at our daily life on a calendar scope. We took a 7-day scope and we asked the big questions about kind of the big picture of that week. And planning a week ahead of time is very, very helpful because it's within a realistic framework of time. It's only 7 days out or 5 days of a work day or a work week out. But we allow ourselves some breathing room because day to day brings about certain shifts and challenges. And so we practice weekly planning, but when it comes to the very day in which we're going to work, we practice daily prioritization. And the reason we do that is because things change suddenly. And so when we're planning out our weeks ahead of time, when we are daily prioritizing the day of work in which we find ourselves, we better know how to manage ourselves. The third component to time management, as we looked at people and process and managing ourselves, is managing our own energy level. Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? What are your sleep habits? What are your eating and health habits? How do these factors contribute to your work week and your work day? So that weekly planning, daily prioritization, and managing your own energy level, these are all things that we can control, right? That's the principle. We can't change or manipulate time, but we can change and manage our own selves. And so that planning, that prioritization, that managing our energy level, these are all factors that help us succeed in the work when it comes to managing our time. Now, what we want to do is we kind of want to pick up where we left off last week. Again, we were talking about managing energy, daily prioritization of our workday, and weekly planning. Now we want to start focusing on those challenges, right? Those time thieves that present themselves in a typical work environment. Go ahead and look at this first quote by Robert McCracken back in 1960s. It was on the cusp of the technological wave. It says a 40-hour week is now common, and automation and technology will probably reduce it within the lifetime of the rising generation to 25 to 30 hours. Now, look, it seemed plausible that Robert McCracken, what he was saying was absolutely correct, that technology would bring about kind of this utopian understanding and function of time, that we would be freed up to do so much more. But the reality is that's not what any of us have experienced, I think, in the wave of technology. With technology has come kind of almost more time challenges and problems. And so we have to be able to not only manage our time, but remember, manage the factors that contribute to those time challenges. And technology becomes one of those major challenges, right? Go ahead and take a look at this one video. I think it sums it up quite helpfully.
People have, I'm sure, struggled with busyness for a long time, and so we shouldn't think that our day is totally different. But one thing that certainly is unique is the prevalence of technology, and how does that fit in? Twitter and Facebook and blogs and emails and texting and all the rest. And I think there are a number of challenges. I just think two real quickly. One is the way technology constantly wants to poke us, and it gives us a desire for that poke. And there have been studies actually that are arguing that the constant use of the internet actually rewires some of the thinking in our brain and how we process things, from linear in books and delayed gratification, long processes of reasoning, to immediate gratification and needing something right now. So when I talk about this poke, I mean, you start to get this feeling that there's a whole world out there, and I need to hear about it right now. I need somebody to tweet something. I need to see what's going on Facebook. and something happens. It's a physiological thing. I think it's a spiritual thing too. It's a self-imposed kind of restlessness that comes with technology. And then the other thing is the way technology blurs all the distinctions in our life. So we don't go to work and then we're done. Or back in the agrarian days, you have the sun to tell you when you're done working. You're not going to go plow the field when the sun's down. But now it all blurs together. When you're at work, you're sort of booking a flight, and when you're at home, you're catching up on emails. And so we don't have any of this rhythm to our daily life. And technology just makes us all into a kind of rhythmless blur, and that feeds into our busyness and into our feeling of constant work and exhaustion.
Some of you might know who that was. That's Kevin DeYoung. He wrote a book I found very, very helpful. It's called Crazy Busy. And just understanding the technological landscape and how that has had an effect on society, I think might give you an awareness of the challenges that we're going to walk through coming up next. And this is where I'm going to ask you to participate. You can either unmute yourself or utilize the chat function, because again, like I said before, and I said Monday, there is wisdom in the room and we want to unlock it. So to the extent that you contribute will be the extent to which we all profit from the ideas that are there, the anecdotes, the experience of how we have dealt with these challenges. The first challenge that we'll talk about will be the challenge of email. How many of you just love email? Email, of course, is one of the most common time challenges for people in the workplace. And very few, believe it or not, very few people have been trained on how to manage email well. It's very common for people just to be overwhelmed by the amount of information that comes through email. So we want to talk about best practices when it comes to managing our email. Next, this will be no surprise, cell phones, cell phone technology. Yes, cell phone technology can be very helpful, and it can help us organize ourselves. It could also be very distracting as well. And so some of us, we take a personal cell phone call or we text. Studies have been done about how you could quickly be distracted from a meeting, answer a few texts, and try to re-engage. Studies show that it takes somewhere between 5 to 10 minutes just from answering a simple text to engage back into the meeting in which you're actually participating. So yes, cell phones can be helpful. All of these challenges, they have a good side where they're helpful, but they can be very distracting and rob us of our time as well. We have this one funny video I think everyone will be able to relate to. I think you'll enjoy this.
Hey, Paul. Thanks for being here on time. Paul? Hey, Paul, can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hey, guys.
Oh, hey, Tyler.
Sorry I'm late. Having a hard time connecting.
1 second. Paul's having a sound issue.
I can't hear you. Try adjusting your output settings.
Can you hear me?
It's the gear icon.
Tyler, are you on hotel Wi-Fi?
Yeah, why?
Never mind, I got it. I just had to change a few settings.
Great. Maybe we can get started then. Oh, great.
I think your mic is picking up your speakers.
My mic?
Do you have headphones?
You want me to put them on?
No, I want you to smell them. No, I want you to put them on. Hey, Beth.
Hey everyone, sorry I'm late. I had to download a new version of the platform.
You should plan extra time for the updates. There's pretty much one every time.
Sounds like someone just joined.
Hey guys, it's John. I had to call in. I'm stuck in traffic. Have I missed anything yet?
No, it would have been nice for you to join the rest of us, but we'll see you when you get home. All right, while everyone is here, finally, Tyler, do you have that financial report?
Well, it's been the last few weeks updating our books, and I got some great news for you. Schedule from this point last year. We had a great Q1.
We lost Tyler, I think.
Am I frozen?
Hey, Trip, I think we lost Tyler.
Yeah, I know, we lost Tyler.
Hey guys, it sounded like Tyler was cutting out.
We know, John. All right, while we wait on Tyler, why don't we go over why don't we go over all of the reports from... Beth, are you with us?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, everyone, I know some of you have to leave soon, but I just wanted to go over a couple of the queries before. Okay, excuse me. My wife's out of town this week. Daddy's, I'm so sorry. Okay, you just spilt grape juice on the carpet. Daddy is in a meeting. Tyler, can you go over the numbers one more time, please?
I thought Beth had an adjustment. Hey, Beth.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, that's my iTunes.
Hey guys, hang on. I'm gonna join in. Hey, what platform are you guys on? Skype? FaceTime?
It's in the invite.
Oh, never mind, I see it. It's right there in the invite.
Okay, now I can see everybody.
Let's reschedule and let's just do a regular old conference call, okay? Paul, can you have David send out the 9-digit passcode?
I heard you.
Yeah, he's been here the whole time.
All right, everybody. I'll see you later.
Everybody relates to that. Hopefully not that last part when he got up, but everybody knows how to relate to, yes, how technology, cell phone technology, video conference calling, how it can be a great friend and a great organizer, but it can be a great foe to efficiency and working as a team. The next time challenge that we will discuss today will be interruptions. Now, many people actually work in open workspaces, and perhaps that's good for team projects and for fluidity and collaboration, but those interruptions are a real thing. I call them drive-bys, where you're trying to get something done, someone swings by the cubicle or the opened office door, and they begin to inquire about something, this, that, or the other, and it becomes a distraction. Next, we will talk about the time thief of procrastination. And to me, these are two images on the screen that sum up procrastination. It is often said that there are two types of people in the working world: those who get things done, and then those, you see what I did there? Yeah, that was clever. That's actually written right there in the curriculum. That's right, procrastination. It rests in our own lap. We only have ourselves to fault for it. And there are all sorts of reasons why people procrastinate. It might stem all the way back to the 9th grade, where you were pulling all-nighters trying to cram for an exam. Hopefully you weren't doing that in college or university. I know I had a few nights where that's exactly what happened, but that rhythm finds itself into the workplace for sure. This naturally leads to the next time challenge, which is a lack of planning, because so many people tend to procrastinate. It's also vital, of course, that we proactively get ahead of that and we begin to learn the best practice of planning our work week, our work day, so on and so forth. So that lack of planning can affect not only ourselves, but other people as well. And then lastly here, we find that one of the most common complaints of time mismanagement is meetings that aren't organized, they're not efficient, or they don't feel like they get anything done. And I know, and I think many of you will be able to resonate with this next video.
Hey, I was on this date the other night, and we were at this restaurant.
All right, guys, you guys ready to get started?
Hang on a second.
Trip, you ready to get started, buddy?
Okay, hey, you guys, we're all here, we should start.
All right, thanks for coming, guys. I just wanted to take a few minutes and talk about some ideas for the marketing strategy this year. So if you got one, just throw it out there. I'd love to hear them.
Yeah, how long is this meeting supposed to last? The schedule wasn't exactly clear.
Should be out of here in 30.
Is that approximate or?
Hey guys, sorry I'm a couple minutes late. I got caught in traffic.
7 minutes, actually.
What's that?
A couple is 2.
So what we're doing is we're just coming up with some ideas for our new marketing strategy.
Sure.
So, anyone?
I think we should implement Pinterest.
Ooh, that's a fun idea.
What about a publicity event in the park?
Interesting. But how are you going to plan around the weather? What if it rains?
So we'll party in the rain.
Okay, just want to emphasize there's no bad ideas here. We're just brainstorming. So.
Yeah, I'm just really thinking it'll be a huge waste of money to try to plan around the weather.
Yeah, okay, we get your concerns. Nancy, thank you.
Okay, anyone else have an idea? Ephraim.
I've always wanted to see rain fall down all at once in a big splash instead of small drops over time. I mean, think how it could impact the irrigation system.
Okay. Terry?
Well, I have an idea from my previous job that I had last year, but let me take that back a little bit. I have this wonderful idea, but it doesn't really make sense unless I just take it back a second and bring it forward together. It was like 3 weeks ago that I remember he said something that I couldn't understand.
Hold on a
but
second, Terry. Hold on. Thanks for pointing. Here's what we need to do, okay? Lauren, you got this? We do a video submission contest on YouTube.
Oh, that's been done.
It'll be on Facebook, it'll be on Pinterest, it'll be on Twitter.
If we do something with technology, we lose the senior demographic.
So, you guys want to see an example?
Should we be moving on to the next topic? I mean, it's already quarter after.
Quarter after. That's funny.
Who knows how to put this on the screen? Up there, because you're not going to be able to, I want you to see all the details. We have a cable. Does this cable work?
I think that's power.
I don't know if on the there's an
Not this one.
HDMI
That cord's not going to be long
in
enough.
the back.
Does that
there
remote
could be
go to
like
the
2 or 3,
TV?
like HDMI 1,
Plenty of time,
HDMI
guys.
2,
No rush.
HDMI
This isn't
3,
working.
I got a
and
green
then they
marker.
coincide
Call the
with
IT
each
guy.
other with,
Wait,
there's
turn
also,
what off and back
what
on?
do you call it? S-video.
Hello?
Okay, I've got it working.
Hit play. Okay, now imagine hundreds of those floating around the web. Actually, do you want to watch it one more time?
No, please.
Trip, I think you're onto something with this idea. I really like it. Carol, did you get that down?
Yep, got it.
Sorry, what is C-test up sub YT pros?
Well, I'm abbreviating to make room for all these great ideas. Contest, uploading it to YouTube, funniest, and you get a prize.
Wait, where are the other ideas?
And time.
Wait, where y'all going? We still have 100% of the things to accomplish.
Do you know why we laugh? Do you know why we find those videos amusing? Because they're true. To some extent, they're true, and we can relate to them because we've experienced these things. So let's look at this all at a glance, these time thieves. Email, phones, desk cell, conference calls, all forms, interruptions, procrastination, both our own procrastination and perhaps the procrastination of other people on our team. And then, of course, meetings. I would encourage you to go ahead and look at your workbook where we'll have these listed out for you. You'll be able to jot down some notes. But this is the time where I really want to encourage you to contribute your thoughts. Again, you can unlock the chat room function or unmute yourself, but let's take a stab at the first one. Let's talk about email. What are some things that we really do know about email and how we can manage our email better? Who would be the first to jump at it and teach us from your own experience? Any thoughts? I think we have a crowd that loves email. Color code and link emails. Yes, I see that in the chat room function. Anyone can unmute and creating rules. That's right. Maybe perhaps when you can check email and making sure that you stay self-managed, that you only check during this particular time of day. Perhaps there are times where you put the phone, for example, I get my email on my phone, I shove that into the drawer on certain occasions so I can be all in focused on things that really need to be more of a priority. We recommend using the subject line of emails helpfully and either subject according to whether it's information, whether it's action that needs to be taken, or whether it's urgent action. And when we use urgent action, it should really truly be urgent. And so that means that it should be used rarely. We all have received emails where there's 18 exclamation marks at the end of whatever is said or titled. And of course, that just makes us want to bypass that for another time. Remember that behind every process is a person. This is helpful, I think, to remember. And so when we're interacting through email carries with it, believe it or not, a voice, a tone. If you've received an email or even a text that is quite trite or curt, I remember one time with my own wife, I think I responded. I was busy doing something else. She asked me a thoughtful question and expected a thoughtful response. And all I said to her was no, period. Well, she didn't appreciate that. And she let me know that very evening. And so we need to understand that behind a process is a person. And so if we're looking to convey information in the form of an email, be thoughtful and tasteful in how we are interacting. These are some good best practices. Any other thoughts? I saw a few thoughts come up in the chat there. Any other thoughts? Again, you can unmute yourself and contribute to the conversation as well in relation to email.
Hi, this is LaShawn. The one thing I noticed is abbreviations. I think it's better to spell everything out exactly as it should be so people won't get confused.
So there's clarity. Yes, very helpful. Anything else?
I was going to
Any
say,
other thoughts?
I think Susie's creating rules. I think she meant something else other than what you explained, Erin. So Susie, if you want to share.
Yeah, I meant in Outlook where I can create a rule if an email comes from a certain person with a certain topic, that it goes to a specific folder. And then I'll check that folder once a day or twice a day.
It's just a form of organizing oneself.
Right.
Right. Understand that many times when you're utilizing email, depending on the length, people could see immediately that it's a blizzard of words. And so getting to the point, thinking more in bullet points than a dissertation, that's always helpful. And again, because there is a person behind the process or the function of email, be brief, get to the point. But at the same time, in that briefness, if you will, and in that abbreviated conversation, make sure that you are warm. And so you could sign off your emails with sincerely or kind regards, best wishes, or I trust this is useful. So there's a way to actually be brief, but not rude. And so we always want to be able to balance that person and process a balance as well. Let's move on to phones. That's the next time thief that we've all experienced. What are some helpful best practices when it comes to managing our time and how cell phones and cell phone technology can be distracting? What are some useful things that you all have utilized?
I removed emails, Microsoft Teams, anything that's work related, and left it on my computer because I realized I could be out somewhere and then I'm looking at my phone because I hear a beep from work or something on my day off. So I just removed it from my phone completely and left work at work, and my phone is free from any distractions. And if I am at work, I do what you mentioned earlier. I've just put my phone in the drawer and let it be while I work.
Very helpful. Yeah, just that discipline. I think also, so Jackie said in the chat that she uses the do not disturb function, whether that I'm sure in a meeting or even at home, or perhaps when she needs to, or whoever it is needs to focus on something that has a greater priority. Very, very helpful. Use the technology to manage the technology is what I like to say. One thing you might want to consider if you tend to get a high volume of phone calls, consider standing up when you're on the phone. Not only does it add clarity and strength to your voice, but it also brings about a helpful sense of urgency that won't allow the phone call to linger. And so that's why you'll see many times, we've all seen people do it. They pace back and forth. It helps kind of just not only the blood flow, but it helps kind of bring about an energy that is warm, but gets to the point and brings about a resolution or solution to the phone call. Any other thoughts about cell phones? Okay, very good. Let's move on to interruptions. I like to call them office space drive-bys. What are some things that we have learned? What are some things that we have learned on interruptions in the workplace? And I would encourage you to take some notes there in your workbook based upon some things that have been said so far. It might be helpful just to bring some interaction to your thoughts. Any thoughts on interruptions? This is something that I actually deal with quite often. It's kind of the nature of my job. Yeah, you'll see in the workbook, it's page 11. But I deal with interruptions quite often in what I do and interacting with people and helping them think through, work through certain problems. It does help if someone swings by and says, hey, do you have a minute? To kindly and sincerely ask, will it only be a minute? Right? A minute or 5 minutes tends to be an ambiguous length of time that people throw around. It's like a junk drawer word. It really doesn't mean anything. 1 minute doesn't necessarily mean a minute. And so I just sincerely ask, will it be a minute? I also have learned that it's helpful that if someone swings by my office and pokes their head in the door and they want to have a chat, I simply stand up, just like with the cell phone situation. Standing up brings about, again, you don't want to be rude. You want to be aware that you're dealing with a person and you don't want to be too process heavy. But standing up brings about a sense of urgency. It brings about a let's get to brass tacks of the situation now, or let's determine a better time to maybe have this conversation. Any other thoughts on interruptions? Let colleagues know that you're at working. That disappeared, that you're working, and just being honest, I think, would be the idea behind that. Open communication. I think there's also nonverbals that you can clue people to. Very good. Let's move on. Procrastination. What are some things that we've learned in dealing and managing with procrastination? Any thoughts? If you find yourself in go ahead. I hear someone's chiming in.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think procrastinating things just causes you to stress longer. It's like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Then you stress tomorrow, and then you do the next day, and then you just stress every day up until the day you do it.
Absolutely. It compounds the stress. And so it just begets more stress. And so procrastination is never, I call it the cul-de-sac of insanity, because it never makes sense to keep delaying. You're just storing up a deeper heartache for later. I think there were some other things that were said. Anyone else have anything to contribute there?
Yeah, Aaron, I'm a huge procrastinator. It's a big problem for me. So what I do is I just do the thing. I'm procrastinating for a reason, not usually because I don't want to do it or because the task is too large. I just make myself do those things first. You know, I can't move on to something enjoyable until I get done what I need to get done.
Very good. Very helpful. I found that setting up systems of accountability is also very helpful. And so if it's a team project, if you are on assignment with another individual, or perhaps it's someone that maybe they're working closely to you, they're maybe not even on the same project, having that accountability with deadlines is helpful. But make sure that if you're going to do that, that the deadlines aren't arbitrary. Make sure that they mean something. So as you're planning out your week or even your day, or maybe your long-term planning, the deadline should mean something. Remember that the goal with people is to always build and sustain trust. And with processes, we're trying to obviously organize our time. Susie, it seems like what you said, your input really resonated with people. Again, that's the idea here. We all contribute. We have wisdom in the room. We want to unlock it. It helps everybody. Good stuff. And then the really fun one, the big one, meetings. Meetings. I am in way too many meetings myself. What have we learned about meetings and what we could utilize as strategies? Clear agendas, absolutely, which means that you've been planning ahead of time. Good input. What else? Stay on point. Absolutely. It's easy to shift and to have the topic meander. State the purpose of the meeting at the beginning so that everybody is accountable to that as a fixed point. Very good.
Assign a time Nazi.
Yes, absolutely. A timekeeper. What I've done in meetings, I've actually made it kind of fun. I don't know if it was always the best idea, but or if it's the best professional idea. But I gave 5 crumpled up balls of paper to one person on the team, and I said, as soon as this timer runs out, throw these at me. And of course, the team was very vigilant on the time, which made me, very responsible for every segment of that hour. And I beat them to it. They really wanted to peg me with the paper balls, but I didn't give them a chance. I think they got me later just cause. But yeah, have fun with it if you can. I think it's important to also understand that if you're going to have that time factor, if a meeting's going to go beyond an hour, which sometimes they just have to, stop at that hour point and really ask the entire team, okay, who doesn't need to be here any longer? Maybe only the essential people need to continue on beyond that hour. So be aware of other people's time in that. Any other thoughts on meetings? Very good. Okay. Understand that most people, when it comes to busyness, they tend to wear it as a badge of honor. It tends to be an identifier, right? And so many of us, I think, can get caught up into that hamster wheel life, and people ask how we're doing, and the first thing that comes to our mind to say is, oh, we're crazy busy, and we're always busy. And it's almost as if we're saying to people, hi, I'm not Aaron, I'm so busy. And if it wasn't for me and if it wasn't for my essential position, everything would fall apart. I'm just always so busy. And deep down, they're saying to themselves, see, I got to look busy, because if I don't look busy, then people are going to begin to question my worth or my value or what I bring to the team. I want to bring up this next quote because I think it speaks effectively to who we are. John Wooden, we all know, many of us know who he is. Don't mistake activity for achievement. Again, I want to reference that hamster wheel. You could be spinning your tires. So the expulsion of energy and looking busy isn't actually bringing about effective outcomes. Truly effective and highly efficient employees are worth their weight in gold. Organizations will never want to lose that level of talent. So make sure that as we manage these systems and we manage our relationships with people, maybe quell the anxiety within yourself to know that there's a way to do this that brings about the results that you really do want without having you lose your mind. Now, you'll notice in your workbook, there's a simple model for you to consider if you feel like you might be trapped in kind of that cycle of insanity, that cycle of business, rather than being effective. You see these different quadrants here, and there's some blanks for you to fill it in. You'll notice that on the paper, it's kind of there twice in your worksheet. And I would encourage you, as we kind of work through this, for you to fill it out in the blanks, and it helps you to interact with it. I'm going to build it once, and then as I do that, I'll encourage you to kind of make note along the way, and then I'll build it again to kind of maybe galvanize its effect, okay? Again, go ahead and take notes. I think you'll find it helpful. In this bottom left quadrant, we have an employee who, in this situation, or just generally in life, lacks courage to speak up, but also lacks consideration. It's almost as if they don't care about their own workload, or the effectiveness of the organization. And so low courage, low consideration. Well, in this top left quadrant is the employee who, in this situation, or again, in generally just in life, has high courage to speak up about an issue, such as their workload or the environment that they're working, but still lacks consideration in how the message is delivered. You're seeing perhaps the process and the people factors balance in this, right? Well, in the bottom right quadrant is the employee who is, in this situation, or just generally in life, has low courage to speak up about an issue, but has high consideration for others. These employees are likely to get overwhelmed with their own responsibilities, and they're likely just to take on the work of other people as well to avoid the conflict, right? Maybe perhaps you know people who are like this as well. Our final quadrant, top right, is the employee who has high courage and high consideration. Now, to galvanize this, let's go ahead and put some labels on these employees, knowing that sometimes we all exhibit some of these characteristics at some point in time, right? Just kind of the good, bad, and the ugly. That this bottom left quadrant is the employee who predominantly lives and lacks the courage to speak up in what they do generally, and in their silence, they're essentially saying that they don't really care, exhibiting a lack of consideration for the team that they're with, the people that they're serving, right? These people often have kind of a negative mindset, and they tend to moan and gripe and complain about their job, and whether it be in their personal lives or their professional world. We call these people the bare minimum. Low courage and low consideration. Next, we see the aggressor. The aggressor, an employee who predominantly lives in this quadrant, the coworker who lives in this quadrant, they speak up, and they speak up often, and they speak up again and again and again, and they're aggressive, right? These people have high courage and low consideration. They're not exactly fit for bringing about the best optimal work space environment for people. It makes it very hostile, right? Next, we see the doormat. This employee lacks courage. They're kind of like the victim, right? They have high consideration for people, the team that they're with, their coworkers, their customer, whoever they're serving. And they'll do whatever it takes to do anything, everything in order to avoid conflict, including even take on more work themselves. And they'll stress out and they'll pull the all-nighters. The doormat, how do you think that they handle time management? Well, they have low courage and high consideration. They'll just take on more until they implode. Now, the final quadrant, this is the crown jewel. This is where we want to target our focus and our energy. The final quadrant obviously typifies what all organizations are looking for. Employees who have the courage to speak up about an issue, but they also have high consideration. They have high emotional intelligence. And so they know how to kind of move through situations and interact with people in a way that is helpful and clear, but also speaks very directly to maybe what needs to be addressed. And of course, no one is perfect in this, but this is what we would be consistently shooting for in the workplace. This is what we would refer to as the consummate professional. And so how does the consummate professional handle time management issues? How does someone who is in that quadrant, who has high courage and high consideration, how do they actually help and bring about the best working environment as we all look to manage our time? We notice that they are highly effective and they're highly efficient. At this point in time in the seminar, we want to give you some time to reflect, perhaps take some notes. We hope that this seminar has been helpful for you, that it's brought about maybe some points of application that you'll be able to put into practice as you plan out your week, as you prioritize your day, as you manage your energy, as you look for ways to work around those time challenges. And so there in your workbook, you'll have some space to perhaps write down some thoughts about kind of where you are, what quadrant you currently think you occupy, and maybe some steps and points of application that you need to take in order to be that consummate professional. Of course, in what we listed, there's always more factors that we could play into it, but just giving you a snapshot of the aggressor, the bare minimum, the doormat, the consummate professional. What are some elements in your work environment that contributes to where you are? And so I'm going to give everyone about 3 minutes just to reflect and maybe take some notes, and we'll bring it back after a few minutes. Ready, set, and go. Okay, I want to bring us back center. Keep in mind that it's often said that the gap between knowledge and wisdom is application. And many times, the best way to apply something is if we've had time to reflect, if we've had time to interact. I wonder if there would be anyone who would be willing to share. And I would appreciate, I think the unmute function would be best, and instead of maybe typing out a chat. How could we contribute to some of the key things we found useful, not only today, but also if you were here on Monday when it comes to time management? What would be helpful for the group to know? Some key items that you found to be most useful. I'd like to open it up for people to share.
Aaron, I kind of had an epiphany during that last exercise. The high-low consideration. I was typing out notes, and I need to realize the time constraints that I work under and find a diplomatic, professional way to let others know that there's just no way I can take on another project, especially if it doesn't relate directly to the job I was hired to do at Fresno City College. But how do you say no to the president? How do you say no to your boss, right? But I think by starting to say no, then people realize you have to have that high courage. And I think by saying no, that allows the opportunity for my colleagues to showcase their amazing abilities, right? So it's not just easing my workload, but it's also giving my colleagues a chance to shine. Because I'm not the only one who can do a Zoom webinar. There are other people who could do it, but Susie's the one who knows it. She's the one who's going to do it. I need to let that go.
You know, Susie, in that level of transparency, remember with people, the goal is to build trust. That level of just honesty really does, it might seem counterintuitive because you feel like you're shutting someone out when you say no. But that level of transparency and just honesty about what the capacity is and other things that you got going on, I think invites a transparency all the way around. People know that you're not trying to sell them a bill of goods. You're not trying to be anything that you're not. You're going to get around to what you got to get around to when you can and how you can. Again, how you say no, that's really important for sure. But the fact that you are willing to communicate your own time constraints, you know, your capacities, again, that builds trust over time and keeps us from drifting into one of those quadrants that ultimately is not helpful for ourselves personally, but also for the work environment in which we live and operate. Good thoughts. Anything else to elaborate on? Remember, wisdom is in the room. You're the experts. It's your time. I found that it's also helpful to ask for input from people that know me well, that work alongside of me, how I might be doing, right? How I might be functioning. I think that level, again, operating off of a foundation of trust. I know that there are lots of people that with what I do, a lot of eyes are on my situation, and inviting that feedback, I think creates a culture in which people want to be open and honest about what the goal is, what the desired outcome is, and gets us honest about kind of what we're able to contribute and what we're not. Remember that, like, all of you is where you are, right? And so when it comes to, again, managing your personal life, managing your energy, managing elements at home, you don't think that those are factors in the professional world of work? They absolutely are. We like to convince ourselves that we can compartmentalize and live separately in our professional world from our personal world, but we can't. The best we can do is maybe shove things to the back of our minds or to the front of our minds in order to focus on something. But as we manage ourselves, as we remember, our perceptions lead to behaviors that then bring about a set of results. If we're unwilling to say no and we just want to take on more and more and more and more, well, then you're kind of revealing that you have a particular set of perceptions about yourself, about other people, that's leading to behaviors that's bringing about the results of just stress, right? And so really focusing on the things that you can control, managing yourself, influencing other people. These are all tools of the trade when it comes to time management. Again, I'll open it up for any other thoughts before we move on.
I think one of the things that I have a bit of a challenge with is I tend to write short bullet pointed emails because I can do a real quick scan and go, okay, did I put everything in there? That's the easy part for me. The challenge is leaving concise voice messages. I leave some of the longest detailed voice messages because I'm so afraid that by the time the person I'm leaving the message for gets it, I'm going to forget why I called them. So if I just say, hey, can you call me? Most of the time, I'm not going to remember. And that's something I know that I've got to work on is make it brief in terms of voice messages.
Do you ever find it helpful to make notes before you send the voicemail?
Oh God, yeah, I make notes all the time. I'm kind of an extremist. Moderation isn't a popular word in my personal vocabulary, whether it's work or outside of work. It's just part of who I am, and I'm more aware of it now. But it's still a bit of a challenge for me.
At least you have that awareness, though. I think that would be a key thing to have, which is the awareness of how you think and operate and deal with people and processes. And so it's just a matter of kind of organizing that best suits the results and the outcomes you're looking for, but also leaves you in a place where you can best perform. And so if taking notes and preparing ahead of time, whether it be a phone call, an email that you're going to send out or conduct a meeting, I think that goes back to the planning part of our day, our week, even managing our energy, and you knowing yourself in that regard is a great asset to yourself. You do know yourself better than anyone else. So it seems like what I'm hearing is that you have that awareness, and it's just a matter of directing that in a way that's helpful. Thank you for that input. Anyone else? All right, I know that we're all familiar with SMART goals. We've all heard of these. I'm not sure how much everyone here has interacted with them, but they can be very, very helpful in getting us target to what we want to bring about. And so goals that are specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-bound. What I want to do is give everyone a few minutes here on the clock just to kind of take the key items that we found to be most useful and then turn them into actual goals or action items that will bring about the results that we are looking for. All right. So there is an example on your worksheet that you could use as a reference point. And yeah, take a few minutes and take those key items that you found to be useful and let's turn them into action items. Again, you have the wisdom. Let's just go ahead and make up points of application for us to walk in that wisdom. Ready, set, and go. give you one more minute, and then we'll bring it back center. Okay, let's come on back. As we begin to wind down our time, I just want to thank you for being attentive this past hour. I do want to put up this quote onto the screen for everybody. I'm going to give you a quick minute to read through it. Hopefully it resonates with you. What do you think Mark Buchanan is saying? I mean, we don't want to overly parse this piece of his. I think it's basically true. What he's saying is we got to be careful to ensure that we don't squeeze the life out of time. Time is a gift. We can't control it. We can't manipulate it. We can't direct it. And yet we are within a space and time continuum where we live and we operate, we have our being. And so we need to, with that in mind, I think use wisdom, the wisdom that's already in the room, the set of principles that we discussed in the beginning on Monday. And when it comes to managing our time, it really comes down to managing ourselves. Remember the see, do, get wheel, the perception, behavior, and results wheel. We all have a set of perceptions about ourselves, about other people, about our world of work, the life that we lead, that bring about a set of behaviors for good or for bad, for helpful, for worse. That in the end, those perceptions and those behaviors bring about a particular set of results. And so when it comes to managing time, you can't manage time. That's the principle that we built this entire seminar off of. You can't manage your time. You can manage yourself. You can have the principles that help you see things rightly, see yourself rightly, see other people rightly, right? Helping processes be more efficient, knowing that people are behind processes. And when we begin to understand that, when we manage ourselves well, right? And we influence other people in helpful ways, we will begin to slowly but surely, we will begin to, I think, experience the results of time management. And when our time doesn't feel like it's being crushed and it's kind of sifting between our fingers, the anxiety begins to go down, right? We begin to think more clearly. Things can slow down, but it really is not about doing more. It really is about managing ourselves and making processes more efficient, focusing on those things that you really can control. Again, folks, I know that these are things you really didn't know. You really did. And so we here at Newleaf, we always want to make sure that you're fully resourced. We have a slide here that has a few resources for you. These are just a few. And so if you're ever interested, please contact us and we'll get some good stuff in your hands. But these are just some things that for you personally and professionally, we think would be a help to you. But it has been an honor serving you in this way and kind of getting to know your team. And we at Newleaf really do relish the opportunity to bring about this level of professional instruction. If we can be of any further service to you on the subject, we want to be. You see my slide there. I have my email there as well. We have also provided in the link a survey. Every program or seminar we deliver, we ask for you to give us input. It helps us serve you better and those others with professional instruction. And so if you would take 2 to 3 minutes, that would be helpful and would help us immensely as we want to make the world of work a better place, right? Helping you manage yourself, influence others, and of course, have an awareness of the organization which you work. So Susie, I'm going to turn it back over to you. It's been a privilege, and hope to see you all again sometime in the future. Blessings.
On technical difficulties. Thank you, Aaron, so much. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Newleaf. Thank you guys all for joining. Thank you all for joining us. As Aaron mentioned, there's only one way we get better at doing what we're doing, and that's by hearing from you how we can improve. You'll receive an email this afternoon. I don't have the link to it to drop into the chat, but maybe Paul does, for the evaluation for both workshops in this module. And we hope to see you at our next module in this series for classified professionals in October on the 18th and the 22nd, again, bookending the week, Monday and Friday. And it's going to be on personal and interpersonal effectiveness. Again, thank you, Paul. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Becky. Thank you, all of you. Everybody have a great weekend.